Boys and girls and boys, it's your boy King Jiffy Codes. What's up, my dudes? We're killing it this morning. It's morning time, springtime for in Germany. Dutchland is happy and gay. You know the producers. Great movie, incredible movie actually. One of the funniest movies I think I've ever seen. It's definitely my favorite Mel Brooks movie probably. But anyways, boys and girls, we got a few videos we're going to do this morning before I have to go to worky poo. And I think this will be fun. I really think this is going to be fun. We got the first thing we got here is this is worse than getting banned. This is by Decoy Voice. Now, I was really refreshed and excited to see some other drama going on other than just Hummus Pickles getting banned. I mean, this, of course, is going to address that. But I also saw this has a really big, like, Asmongold twist to it. And I want to know what's going on in the perpetual throwing poop at each other debate between Hassan and Asmongold over who is the biggest streamer on Twitch. Now, let's just hit roll with it.
Asmongold versus Hassan isn't quite like The Rock fighting John Cena, but like when John Cena shows up when you're just about to go, as Hassan desperately tries to drag down Asmongold.
Black fatigue. Oh yeah. Asmongold is entertaining the new meta of black fatigue, which is like, I'm sorry, the lamest way to be a white supremacist.
When Asmongold can easily prove Hassan wrong.
It's actually embarrassing. Like, what is this? This is crazy.
You just can't.
Dude, I just love the fact that Hassan's instant go-to is you're a white supremacist. Every time, dude. It's such a lame thing. Because, like, here's the thing. I think Asmongold's definitely gone down a bit of a right-wing run here. He's been really focusing on right-wing policies and glazing up the orange Cheeto man. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make him a white supremacist, guys. That just means that he has a difference in political beliefs. But when it comes to Hassan and his audience, having a difference in political beliefs is pretty much makes you the worst person to ever live. So that's lame and gay.
And openly be racist, you have to just be like, oh, I just have black fatigue.
This is exactly why black fatigue is a thing. Black fatigue isn't a thing. Why are you literally just lying?
As this isn't even the first time Hassan...
I do love the fact that every time that there's some sort of narrative or something going on, that Hassan wants to latch on to Asmongold, every single time Asmongold pulls out his crusty cockroach-infested butthole and just shoves it in Hassan's mouth and says, "Toss that salad, big boy. You can't handle this grease, bro. You can't handle this grease." And Hassan just has to, like, sit there and take it because every single time he makes him look like a clown.
has tried to spread lies about Asmongold.
Asmongold on top. Bro, Asmongold thinks dudes that look like you should perish from the national borders of this country. He's like, Asmongold be like, you're close enough in San Diego. Might as well move to the other side of the border. And this,
as he constantly frames Asmongold as a racist.
India had Gandhi. It's the country of peace and harmony. Asmongold had a fairly balanced take. Dude, Asmongold would literally laugh at you being ethnically.
Dude, this is so disingenuous too. The fact that like Hassan was just glazing and gulpy 5000ing all the rhetoric about like the terrorism being good against India. He literally called like India like a country of like white supremacists and stuff. It was absolutely insane. Now he didn't say that exactly. He just said that basically he tried to conflate them to be like Israel, which Israel he has called Nazis. So I mean, I'm jumping through hoops to make that connection, but at the same time, even the people in Pakistan, like the Pakistani government, said these guys are terrorists. We don't support them. These guys suck. And it was just so funny that Asmongold has the more nuanced take, the more critical take, and Hassan was like, terrorists, ooh, let me make out with them.
If you're Indian, okay, he thinks brown are inferior. What the
Never said that anywhere. I really hate,
he could. What's this here?
I really hate that the narrative
Asmongold versus Hassan isn't.
I hate the narrative where he's just like, well, he's a white supremacist, so He hates all brown people, so yeah, we're just gonna go off the. I hate it, dude. I hate this this narrative, bro.
Gold would literally laugh at you being
Like, this dude literally is like wanting like would 100%. Let's say tomorrow. Like the Hamas terrorists like went in and just glassed all of Israel. It was gone. It was gone. This dude would be like, yeah, well, it sucks. Well, but they did support a genocide. Sometimes ethnic cleansing's okay. I mean, he would do shit like that. I mean, this is just what this guy is. But he is willing to just put lies and slander on top of other people, and he knows he can get away with it because nobody can prove damages. Every single time I hear like somebody talk about the fact that they're gonna sue somebody in regards to this entire situation, I'm like, shut up, bro. We've all been making money. There is no way that anybody in this situation can prove damages, and it's ridiculous to think otherwise.
ethnically if you're Indian, okay? He thinks brown are inferior. What the are you talking about?
So between the fatigue comment, the comments about Mexicans and Indians, all within what seems to be a month, this just looks like projection more than anything, as I've watched a fair bit of Asmongold streams.
That's exactly what I was saying, bro. That's exactly what I was saying with all the stupid examples I made, where I was just kind of sticking both thumbs up my butt and playing on like old fighting games or Game Boy. I was playing Game Boy in my own asshole. when if you actually like look at what Hassan and Asmongold says, you can take everything that Hassan says, throw it in the trash, call it lies, and it's just him projecting his own issues and his own rhetoric onto Hassan or onto Asmongold. But Asmongold's over here just mad chilling, bro, and literally all he has to do is let the retard talk and he wins.
Recently, and I've never seen him bring up race against anybody. So Hassan's constant projection seems more like a self-confession more than anything. But it's the least of Hassan's worries, as what happened in DC put all eyes on Hassan, especially when he seemed to almost cover for him.
I'm not Mr. False Flag at all, but like every single thing that he did in the aftermath of the is so crazy that it's like, you could not have designed a better false flag incident like this. I'm not saying it is a false flag incident at all. I'm not saying that. I think this is just a one dude who is genuine in his actions and maybe, you know, a little bit brain broken.
As when Hassan read the manifesto, even
dude, by the way, he got banned for critically looking at a manifesto. And this is my problem, is he wasn't being critical. Well, he didn't get banned for being critical. That was the policy he violated, is if you read a manifesto, even if you're critical, you can get banned. And he knew this, he did it, he violated it. Other streamers have done the same thing with other manifestos and been permabanned off of the platform. Hassan, 24 hours, he gets a little flick on the dick and he's back to doing his thing, buddy. He's back to just being the same absolute monster. But he sits here and uncritically reads this, and then right as he gets unbanned, he deletes every VOD he's ever had. He wipes his entire Discord. He goes completely like delete everything that could make me look guilty.
And when on emoji only mode, his live chat seemed to support him. But that shouldn't be surprising, as Hassan has been known specifically for this for a while. And after those murders took place, everyone knew Hassan was screwed, as he would either need to call the killer out for being evil and alienate the audience that he's cultivated that supports it, or he doubles down and goes easy on the shooter, making it look like he supports it himself. Either way, he's losing. But after Hassan's Saturday stream, he was banned off Twitch, where he shared...
I actually think there was a path to him winning. I think there were, like, at least in the eyes of his audience, and not getting banned. Actually, no, this one for him too. I mean, if we're gonna act like this, if this ban hurt him, it didn't. One day bans do jack and shit. Dude sat and cried about it on Twitter for a few days, or for like a day and a half. Whined and whined. His audience kind of got rallied up, and then he just went back to doing his same thing the next day. Dude, he's fine, and this only like puts more eyes on him. It's just so like egregious that Twitch has these policies that they will nuke a channel over, absolutely like disintegrate a channel over. But then Hassan violates them. It's like, oh, we like you too much, buddy. We don't want to get rid of you. You're a sweet boy.
It was over his improper...
And again, I disagree with these policies. I want to be like upfront off. I do think I do think you have to be careful in the eyes of the law with improperly handling like propaganda. It's just like there is laws against that, and the fact that he shares them in such an uncritical way so often, I think violates those laws, and I think that is something that should be looked at. Maybe not prosecuted, but I do think that it should result in like him getting banned. I think it should have resulted in him getting banned when he was showing like the terrorist propaganda and stuff in the past, when he was showing this footage from like the Houthis and Hamas and all this stuff that is undoubtedly propaganda, and he's putting it up like uncritically. I think that should have been addressed. The fact that it's getting addressed now just because you read a manifesto on screen, it's like, really, this is the line? You've done all this other stuff, but now you're doing something? I mean, the dude's threatened like 2 senators. What the fuck are we talking about, bro?
Handling of propaganda, as obviously Pepsi and Disney don't want their advertisements played between clips of Hassan talking about false flags, how the guy was genuine in his actions, and reading the manifesto while hearts get spammed in the chat. But it doesn't really mean anything when apparently the ban was just for 24 hours, essentially just giving him Sunday off. Where Asmongold chimes in, stating it's more of a reward than a punishment as it just gives him more attention. And Grums calls out how being mean to someone on Twitch gets you a 2-week ban. Asmongold got
This is wild. This is wild. I don't like Grums. I think Grums is a fucking loser. I think the dude's just like a big fat like idiot who wasted all of his money in development on his game for a stupid fucking bust. This dude and David Jaffe are the biggest idiots online. They're washed up losers. Okay, that is my soapbox. Well, I do agree with this. What a joke. Hassan's right here. Call Frogan fat, you get a 2-week ban. So you call somebody fat, you call somebody a big chungus, a big flabby titty monstrosity, and you get banned off of Twitch for 2 weeks. But you uncritically read a terrorist manifesto for your chat to like suck down your cum. Oh no! Oh no! Well, you just get a little slap on the wrist there, buddy. Oh, you're just a little guy. We want to make sure you're okay, Hassani Piker Poo. Ooh, hummus pickles. Don't get mad at us. It's just a 24-hour ban. And this is crazy because it was like a month ago, or like a month and a half ago, he was banned for 24 hours for saying, and yes, I understand that his Rick Scott thing is kind of out of context, but at the same time, like he doubled downs on the idea of kill Rick Scott, and then even in his apology, he's like he should take the maximum punishment. I do think that his his hyperbolic nature gets in his way sometimes, but I also don't think that you should be censored for that. I don't think you should be kicked off. But at the same time, Twitch has created a system where they ban people pretty consistently. Their TOS enforcement is incredibly like overreaching, and the problem is if they were a thing like Kick or something, I would look at it and be like, well, as long as you're banning the predators, I don't give a shit what people say. I really don't care. It's like I look at freedom of speech, and I think as long as you give both sides and all viewpoints the voice to just shout it out there, I really don't think you should be banned. I really don't. But Twitch has already showed that they're willing to ban anybody for anything except for Hassan. Then he just gets a little slap on the wiener. He gets a little, oh boy, you're a little bad guy. But it's so stupid.
2-week ban, and this will all come back to bite Twitch in the near future, as it seems it already is, with some people reporting a 50% reduction in ad revenue, while others report a 75% cut, now considering moving to other platforms. And Hassan says the same.
Let's say you pressure institutions hard enough that Twitch actually enforces some sort of ban, okay? And then what? I go on YouTube, I start my, I continue live streaming on YouTube. YouTube is not going to take these kinds of pressures serious.
Exactly. Nobody should take these pressures seriously. I'm sorry. I don't think Twitch should. I don't think that YouTube should. I don't think Twitch should. I don't think YouTube should. I don't think Kick should. I don't think any of them should. I am on the side that I think that the more voices you have in a space to refute this type of retardation, you don't have people like Hassan gain so much power to the point to where he's just constantly one of the biggest voices on a subject. That is the problem right now. is on one platform. He only has one person to refute him, and that's Asmongold, and Asmongold doesn't want to fight him 24/7. That is the big problem. Is Hassan wants to argue with Asmongold. Asmongold wants to do his own thing, and Hassan spurgs out about it because he's the only voice kind of refuting what he's saying. Now, I don't agree with everything Asmongold's saying, but at the same time, the fact that you have somebody as fucking extreme as Hassan, who's the Nick Fuentes of the left, and then you have Asmongold, who's more center left, or maybe a little center right now. He's always been more of a centrist. He does have definitely more socialistic views on a lot of economic policy. You look at these people and you're like, how the fuck did we get here? And the way that we got here is by the terms of service really being so strong and so fucking powerfully enforced in one direction and not in the other, that you allowed this extremism to kind of fucking flourish. You planted the seeds, you watered them, and then they fucking grew. And any other things that tried to grow near it to say, hey, bro, that's a weed. Let's overcover this weed. You like pull all those good plants. I'm not saying that. I am saying you pull all the plants that could mess with your weed over here, and that weed ends up becoming like over powerful, over big. It's tearing your house down. It's having sex with your sister, and then all the grass and the good stuff that was growing is dead. It's just dirt and a weed.
For one, this guy already destroyed Twitch revenue, so don't come over to YouTube to do the same, as I, like many people, could not survive a sudden 75% pay cut. I got a sick cat that just turned 15 that now needs expensive prescription-grade cat food. But also, Hassan has no idea how much more censorship he would face on this platform versus the platform that lets him get away with essentially everything, as I'm convinced Twitch prioritizes spreading propaganda higher than bringing in ad dollars, and Hassan's short ban proves it. So moving to YouTube would probably fizzle out his career even faster.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't think he would. I think with YouTube, he would get a decent amount of views and stuff. I think he already does get a decent amount of views, and if he moved over here, he would do just fine. The thing about YouTube that really would screw him is the fact that his claims could be refuted so easily on the same platform. Anybody who's like watching his stream is going to see other videos popping up, and other people like Lonerbox and some of these other people that are way more intelligent than Hassan and have a better ability to refute this dude's idiotic claims, that people will instantly start to move away from him, right? They'll be, oh, well, this guy's kind of interesting. I want to go check out his perspective. When on Twitch, there's really, once you found a group of people that you watch, you're just kind of inundated with them. Twitch is one of the hardest places to grow, like, naturally on.
As even with Twitch's front page features, Hassan slips even farther behind Asmongold.
It's like Bam Adebayo, my cousin got.
And that's kind of, I think, another reason why Asmongold is getting so big on Twitch is it's just a different option. You finally have somebody else to listen to that isn't this psychotic spurg, bro. And like you're starting to have a lot of other streamers starting to step up and talk out about this. I mean, it's about time. And it's been a problem on Twitch forever, and it's not just about the hyper extremism, it's also about the fact that Twitch is a little circle jerk off. If you are not a part of these cliques, you will not succeed, and it's one of the most crucial, like, missteps of Twitch is the fact that it doesn't, like, push and try to support some of these, like, newer creators.
As Tectone calls it out, Hassan just doesn't drive viewership.
But Hassan has not built up that credibility to have any draw doing anything else. That's why when he comes on the OTK streams, the viewership barely changes by maybe 1,000 viewers. Where are all of Hassan's 40,000 viewers coming over to watch NMP's game day? They didn't show up.
I've said this before. Whatever viewership you get with a front page feature on any platform is your absolute cap. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hassan moved off platform without—
Well, and this is the thing too, before this Israel-Palestine thing really started to get heated up, Hassan was like crying about his IRL streams not doing well enough. The dude was like spurging out about it. He was crying that he put so much effort into his content and nobody watches it, nobody cares about him. It was really sad and pathetic and really cringe, but the dude was like absolutely swirling the toilet, and then October 7th happens and bro's back on top talking mad poop.
Not the insane levels of support he gets from Twitch to only average a couple thousand live viewers. So that's why Hassan acts like Asmongold's ex, constantly acting out just hoping he'll acknowledge him.
and say a
Bro,
collective...
bro. Hassan is like all the women going after Destiny, bro. All the women going after Destiny. Well, nah, they're in the right. Some of them are in the right. No. Hassan is like Denims going after Destiny. Has absolutely no point in being there, but wants to matter so fucking bad that he's willing to lie and like subjugate the truth as much as humanly possible to get in that position. But he's like, Asmongold, the only reason me and Asmongold get along is Asmongold wouldn't, I wouldn't fuck Asmongold, and Asmongold plays the clip where he's Hassan standing at his front door. Listen, Asmongold, can I give you a blowjob? Stops it, and he's like, he wanted to fuck me. He wanted to fuck me, bro. That is exactly what's going on here.
collective thank you to the government for keeping us safe.
Shut the fuck up, you cockroach. Oh my god. What a disgusting little creep.
By the way, I agree with this. Yeah, I actually got in an argument when I made a video on this with somebody in the comments, and they were like, well, I thought you were for free speech. And I'm like, I am. And Hassan didn't get arrested, and even if on the fact that they did stop him, and they asked him about his previous comments on these terrorist organizations, that is doing their due diligence. Now, of course, I don't think Hassan is this like wild terrorist who's going to like take over planes and cause the next Twin Towers, right? I don't think he's that. I do, however, think that it is the job of these agencies that were like the TSA and Department of Homeland Security, that they're supposed to check up on these things. So at the same time, as much as I don't think Hassan would do that, I also want to be like, keep things cash money and say that at least they did their job to check about it. But I don't even think it was that. I really think that they just like asked him like 3 fucking questions, and bro thought that he can make an entire controversy out of it. That's exactly what he did.
Creature this is, okay? Would you debate him? Yes, but he runs away from that sort of thing because he knows he would be humiliated, because all he can do is just like chirp from his hug box.
No, that's not why you don't debate Hassan. I think debating Hassan does absolutely nothing for you. I mean, you can make Hassan look like the biggest dipshit of all time. You can prove him wrong on almost every single point that he makes, and his audience will still think he's a winner because his audience is a cult. They have a cult mentality, and they refuse to listen to anything else. And then the mainstream media will hold your fucking water, and we will get people like chirping up about this that have nothing to do with it. Like, I even saw recently that Meat Canyon like chirped in on all this drama going on right now, and he made it sound like Ethan Klein was the one who wouldn't admit they were wrong, when Ethan Klein hasn't been fucking wrong about much in this situation. I mean, like, obviously when it comes to like the Palestine stuff, I think that there's probably some issues or some things that he's been wrong on in regards to that. I'm sure I'm not the most inundated on that because I'm just a fucking drama guy. I'm a slop tuber, guys. But I do think when Meat Canyon was talking about it, he made a crucial mistake about not knowing what was going on. And he even like said at one point that Ethan and Hassan both have this problem that when they're wrong, they won't just be like, I don't know what's going on. And Meat Canyon 100% should have said the same thing. Meat Canyon should have sat there and said, when somebody brought it up in his chat, said, I have no idea what's going on. I've heard that Ethan's acting crazy. I heard Hassan's crew is harassing him. That's about all I know into it. And he should have left it in that, because like when people talk about this type of stuff and they have absolutely no fucking clue what's going on, all that it makes you look like is a massive asshole. And that's the thing that's kind of like grows this misinformation and bullshit that Ethan has had to deal with. And I'm not even the biggest Ethan fan. I hate that I have to keep defending Ethan in this, but they sent skulls to his house and they called CPS on his children. I'm sorry, after that, people just keep jumping in because these motherfuckers keep downplaying that shit. Keep acting like Ethan's the one that's unhinged. Ethan's the one who's harassing. Bro, the dude had his fucking family messed with in real life. At that fucking point, it's scorched earth, baby. I don't like, and all these people who keep chirping in and like kind of like trying to get him to shut up or going along with these false narratives that Hassan and iDubbbz have peddled. You guys, all that's doing is making this situation way more polarized. This was never about Israel-Palestine. For me, it was never about that. Like, there's parts where I talk about it. There's situations where, for me, the biggest thing is, one, Hassan supports terrorism, and he's unabashed about it. And another is, is the fact that they took something and they took it and turned it into this massive drama. It took it into the real world to mess with somebody's actual children, which I think is fucking disgusting, all under the guise of they support a genocide, which is bullshit, because all they're doing is taking all the dead bodies that have piled up in the Middle East, shoved them in front of them and said, look, you can't get through my fucking meat shield.
And that's it.
Which Asmongold has zero use for.
Because he knows he would be humiliated because...
I don't debate people. I don't argue with people for any reason. I don't do it with anybody.
all he can do is just like chirp from his hug box, and that's it. And it is what it is.
Isn't that what Destiny says about you?
That's why I don't consider this a rivalry as much as a charity, because sadly an influencer's career is oftentimes based off of relevance, and nothing makes you more relevant than a public beef with a larger creator. Just look at how the H3H3 Hassan debate ended up with Ethan averaging more concurrent viewers than Hassan, as everybody's too entrenched in their own beliefs to acknowledge an objective winner, so it doesn't matter if you look like an idiot shouting.
Exactly what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying is there is no objective winner in these situations because of the fact that the audience is going to not budge on the situation. I do think that the more that these idiots keep attacking Ethan and keep trying to like jump into this drama and looking like absolute fucking retards, I think that that's only going to build Ethan up more, and eventually his ego is going to get too big. He's going to crash into the sun, and I'm going to fucking make fun of him right here on this channel. But as for right now, the biggest problem is going to always be the fact that these fuckers just want to like dogpile on him and get him to shut up, get him to fucking step in line, and when you do that, all you're going to do is push more people to like go to him to either to talk shit to him, and then maybe those people who went to talk shit start to see that they're like, holy shit, these motherfuckers have been lying to me this whole time. Ethan's maybe not that crazy, and then other people who had no interest in the drama are now checking in, and Ethan's starting to grow because he's the more fucking logical and rational one in this situation. There is no winning when you're the side that that is willing to support the dude who made up lies to get CPS called on somebody's kids. There's no world where you're the good guy.
Shouting Ethan and the word racist over and over, you've still managed to regain relevance. The problem being, this time he's gaining relevance for the wrong reasons, as Zach highlights how people like Hassan are actually holding back the entire liberal movement.
Until the far left admits that they have a major problem with anti-Semitism, I have phrased this won't be resolved. Yes, exactly. Like, this is the big issue, is that it is impossible for them to admit that they have a problem.
Dude, both the far left and the far right both really hate the Jews. It is crazy to me. It is so crazy because I've been saying for years that Hassan is the Nick Fuentes of the left, and it just took him. We just had to wait enough time. We just had to wait enough time until both of their their narratives like hit the same line, and then they would have the same talking points, and that's the world we live in. Now they have different ways of coming at this perspective. One's progressivism and the other is racism, but they have when you're both just like wanting all the Jews gone in a certain area. I don't know. I'm gonna call you guys both the same thing, extremists.
It is impossible. They cannot and refuse to admit that they have a single problem with this, and that's it.
With Tectone pointing out how it also holds Twitch back.
I'm so worried that if this behavior isn't addressed, if this isn't punished fully, there's no way I would be going to TwitchCon this year.
Yeah, fuck TwitchCon. Fuck Twitch. I honestly could care less if that platform just imploded. I would be happier if Twitch didn't exist anymore. I don't like any platform, and this is even something where I throw a little shade at YouTube. I don't like any platform that doesn't support free speech. I think that it should be enforced by I think because they get the protection from 230, they should be enforced to hold up free speech and then focus on actual crimes happening on the platform, like scams. Like if you run scams on the platform, if you run like obviously like bum fights or something, or CP stuff, I think all of that should be like critically enforced and had a hard long look at it, and that's what these trust and safety teams should be about. It shouldn't be about limiting free speech.
I would be horrified. I would feel so uncomfortable existing knowing how many people of that convention are consuming this content. I absolutely would not go.
Which brings up a much larger issue. Why would you want to go to a huge in-person convention just to be around the people in Hassan's live chat? And the more the mainstream starts to notice Hassan's insane antics, the harder it'll be for Twitch to scrub his stink off of their brand. And then I don't know what'll hurt Hassan more, getting booted off the platform, or handing over his crown to a Roach King. Why doom scroll on social media?
I mean that is fair. I mean, he already handed his crown over to the Roach King. I think the Roach King is way bigger than Hassan on Twitch now. So, I mean, that's kind of why Hassan has stopped talking about Destiny and all these other people that he used to hate so much. They used to be public enemy #1 when it came to his rhetoric. He always had somebody else to blame. Somebody else was always the problem. Now he stopped talking about those somebody else's, and it's only Asmongold. Asmongold's the big bad guy, and we gotta like take him down, right? We gotta like obliterate him, and that's just kind of what has happened. That is that's kind of my latest update. It was more just I wanted to take a look at the Hassan versus Asmongold thing. With the Roach King is on top right now, and I'm sorry you're never gonna get me to side with Hassan, unless like it's something egregious or something. Obviously, if a series of events lead to where where I see Hassan as the victim in the situation, I definitely will speak out on it. But right now, he is definitely the fucking monster in this situation. But that's all I got on that one, guys. Thank you so much, and like and subscribe. Alright, boys and girls, this American CN is making manga history. Bloody hell manga review. Now, I've looked at Rash Reviews stuff before on this channel. I think he's incredible. I think he's a really interesting up-and-coming creator. I eventually hope that he does it. Not eventually. I want him to hit a million, or not a million subs. I want him to see him hit a million subs. That would be cool. Dude, just go from small to giggity schmoodle in the streets. But I would like to see him at least hit 1,000 and get monetized, because I think the dude does do really quality content. But let's get right into the video.
So, I just finished 2 volumes of the American manga known as Bloody Hell. And I would be lying if I said I was not surprised at what I read. Usually when it comes to a lot of these American manga, I'm very disappointed. But there are subtle ways that lets it stand out against typical renditions of what people try to make as...
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in love with the art style. It seems very janky and very I did this on my tablet 5 minutes ago and then posted it on the internet. Now, that's not saying that the narrative isn't incredible or anything. I'm just saying that I would rather somebody else take over the artwork. This is kind of what happened with One Punch Man. One Punch Man by the original creator looked pretty freaking mid, dude. I mean, it was a bit rough, bro. I'll look it up here in a second so you can see it, but I'm gonna hit play here and I'll pull that up.
Manga in the West. This story would be about our main character known as Jacob trying to claim revenge for his mother and father by killing Dracula. Now, I already know what you're thinking. A lot of you probably are tired of revenge stories, but this actually got me.
By the way, I'm not ever tired about revenge stories. I think that if they're done well enough, they can be incredible. But I did pull up the One Punch Man art. We'll check this out real quick. Oh, it's so bad, dude. Oh, no. Let's hold on. Let's just go images. I know that it was I just remember it being rough. Is this the original? Yeah, that's it. I think this is the original artwork right here, dude. This is the original artwork right here, and this is what it became. So the artist that took it over, I think, did an incredible job, but it used to be so rough, dude. Like, it used to just look so goofy. It just like I mean, the same appeals there, the same stories there. You can tell what it's going for, but it's just like this is not even close to as good as what it later became. I mean, just like you can look at the side by side here, and it's just like incredible what the new artists are able to do with it. And the old artist was just like he's great in terms of what he's built, and I also think he's done some other stuff with his art that I think worked a little in a really interesting way, like Mob 100. But I think his first work, One Punch Man, was so rough, dude. And I think that the fact that another artist came in and took it over was a plus. Now I think that this has a little bit more talent put behind it in terms of art design than One Punch Man did, but it's still not great.
A little interested. It's definitely a good start, and I want to see how the creator of Bloody Hell evolves after reading this. Because initially, when I heard Dracula, I was kind of not really impressed. But I like this take on the character, making him his own unique depiction, rather than just biting and sucking off the blood of the famous name of the vampire we all know. The original identity of Dracula would be August, who is a king that existed in this world. And he would have fought with a spear alongside his army. And ironically enough, he would have wanted to repel all of the vampires. Then, unfortunately, he would become the strongest vampire there is, making him nothing more than a puppet and a vessel to this ever-growing embodiment of evil, which makes me raise an eyebrow to what the fuck is Dracula really? Because this entire situation would have happened in a meteor crash site. So if these vampires have a connection to aliens, that definitely has me a bit interested, because a lot of mangas like this don't really have creativity and ideas that make things out of the ordinary. And this is,
I mean, that would be sick. Aliens created vampires for the main vampire to kill all the other vampires. That's cool. I'm so far, like I said, this is like getting to, I'm actually like vibing with this. I'm a big vampire guy. I've always been a big vampire guy ever since I watched Blade as a kid. So anything with vampires, there's a chance I'm going to want to watch it.
doing something that a lot of these Western mangas might need to take notes from, because there are a lot of good ideas here. And of course, me mentioning other Western mangas, I might have to just bring them up now. You got series like Apple Black and others I guess aren't really worth mentioning, and I read some of them, but this manga really stands out compared to a lot of these quote-unquote American mangas. I shit you not, most of the time a lot of these guys have art on lock, but the story is nothing to write home about. But the story here is actually interesting, and I gotta be honest, a lot of the contemporaries here are just musty as fuck.
Fucking Spoon, that was your great idea. Oh, dude, his name is Spoon, and he dips his spoon in people's assholes, and he throws chunky peanut butter at people. He's really good at it, guys.
Bloody Hell knows exactly what it wants to be, and it doesn't try and pander to a specific audience who probably doesn't even exist, just to make a few sales by being more American. Reading this, at times I actually felt like I was looking at an anime. Now, you may take a look at Bloody Hell and think, well, this doesn't look like anime, but I will admit it did kind of feel like one at times, which is a lot more that I can really latch onto in comparison to other mangas. Now you could try and
I think that's one of the things is I've been watching so many of these breakdowns on like some of these high art pieces like Vagabond and Berserk and stuff like that. Then when I see this doesn't look like a manga that's made by manga fans. Looks like a manga that was made by an anime fan. It has much more of an anime motif, which kind of omits a lot of the insane art that goes into manga, and I think that's where the difference is. I think that's where I get this. There's a few degrees of separation here between what I'm normally looking at in these videos and what I look at when I'm reading Berserk, and compared to what you see here, because this is like somebody who's watched a lot of anime made a manga, and they're like, yeah, check this out, dude, it's simplistic, it's good, and it's kind of like off in that way. That's my problem with the art style.
put this in the same vein as something like Invincible Fight Girl that tries to wear anime on its sleeve when it's clearly not, or Cannon Busters. God save my soul. If I gotta relive this trauma, so do you.
Yeah, I try to get into Cannon Busters. I don't think it's as bad as everybody says. I don't think it's great, though. I lost interest pretty quick.
Now, to hit home this point about being more American, I will admit this manga would be known as a mana. And admittedly so, sometimes people like to advertise what they're making to a specific audience. The American audience per se. Although this series does
I think what he's kind of going at is like the blue sky folks, right? The people that are like the deviant art folks. I think there's a lot of people in those communities that these and a lot of these artists are a part of these like weird like Tumblr deviant art folks, and so they gear their shit toward them, which is absolutely fine. You can do that, but it ruins the idea of getting mass appeal for this type of stuff, because your audience that really only is gonna reach to those type of people. And once you limit yourself in that way, I mean, it's just like these guys that are like the anti-woke guys, who make these comics, and their whole idea is to fight wokeism. They're doing the exact same thing as these weird goofy blue sky manga creators. Is they're both only making art for their audience, when they should be trying to just make art for the sake of art and doing their thing, and not thinking about all the other political and like drama bullshit that goes on the internet and in the world.
try to cater to Americans because it is a mana after all. It doesn't try to force the fact that it's trying
By the way, the fact that the American manga is called mana is so fucking gay. Like, it's so gay, dude. What is it, magic? It's magical, guys. It's super magical. It has so much mana.
Be American down my throat, which not only makes it a more worthwhile read, but it still retains its own identity. The ideal mana would use a Western style of art and storytelling, and would also try and redefine Western storytelling in comics. But rather than just trying to be an American anime, this manga feels like an anime just made by an American, which is actually something that makes it worthwhile, unlike everything else that I've been seeing get made in this art space. Now, a lot of you heard me years before give my own thoughts and opinions.
Oh my god, dude, I pulled up the website for mana, bro. I don't know why, but see the dude from Hangover here? He's like, ah, yes, finally, I have a... This is Media Action Network for Asia members, so this isn't even the right mana, but I just love that I click on this thinking it's the manga thing, and we just got fucking Dr. Chen or whatever the fuck his name is, bro. The dude that hopped out of a trunk naked.
Opinions about this American movement and manga, and why I think it will lead to a lot of failure and lack of success in the medium, and I still stand by that. So I'm gonna give you my take on this.
Bro, I wonder how, if the people who created this the term mana for this knew that they were stepping on the Media Action Network for Asian Americans. I wonder if they knew, dude. I wonder if they knew that they were stepping on their toes, bro.
Whole entire mana thing. I don't think anything should strive to try and be American to make sales. It just needs to be what it wants to be, and naturally people are gonna gravitate towards it. And I'm not gonna lie, this makes me kind of gravitate towards Bloody Hell because it's not throwing the constant American bullshit in my face, and it just happens to be made by an American, and that makes it so much better. I personally believe a lot of us should just try and beat the Japanese at their own game. After all, anime is anime, manga is manga. It comes from a certain place, and that is what holds it together. That is why we love it. That is why we create to this day. Even though it's called a mana, it still feels like a manga. Now, of course, you can look at it and you can call it amateur if you want, but I think this is a great start and a nice foundation to use, not only as an artist, because a lot of these people in this space are good artists, but they lack good storytelling and so much more. You'd be surprised how really deep this runs. I mean, there's constant copying and so much more. Like, I'm fucking stupid and not gonna notice this shit. I'm looking at you, Ruthless Render. I mean, you just need to take a look at the panels right here, and it doesn't take a genius to really put 2 and 2 together. This is an example of those guys who have amazing artwork, and a lot of you can't really look beyond that. So it's nice to see something that isn't trying to push diversity, or something that isn't blatantly copying other manga. Which, I mean, of course, you can draw a comparison between Berserk and Bloody Hell's protagonist Jacob because they have giant great swords and they have fairies following them around. And I will admit, a huge problem with the space is that people can't help but wear their inspiration on their sleeves.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's a problem with literally like. There's a problem with the anime in general, though. So a lot of them wear their inspiration on their sleeve, and there's sometimes where the overlap is so annoying because like one example I can think of is like Black Clover. Black Clover is definitely wears its Naruto inspiration on its sleeve. I just think it does the storytelling a lot better than Naruto. I think that it is much more engaging than Naruto. I think the side characters are much more interesting than Naruto. I think that just Black Clover does a better job. The problem with that though is I have to hear about how every time I talk about how I like Black Clover, they're like, but you hate Naruto, and it's basically the same thing. I'm like, no, what it did was it made it better and more engaging for me personally.
And despite that, this series is different, so I can take Bloody Hell pretty seriously. And with Bloody Hell, the creator feels like a mangaka. That is the difference. Bloody Hell is something that can do both. It has art that's not gonna completely push me away, but it has a story that gives it a strong enough backbone to leave an impression. When it comes to Bloody Hell, I see a lot of potential. And really, despite what anyone may say about the art or anything else, give this series enough time and let this artist develop, and I think it will be something that is actually going to be able to be confidently put on bookshelves. It reminds me of one of my favorite comics growing up, Amulet. I remember the very first time I read that like it was fucking yesterday, and that was in 2008, and it's 2024 now. And that was 16 years ago. That series...
I do wanna find out if the Masked Man's manga, because he's making one right now, right? The Masked Man is making a manga. I wonder if his is any good. I really, really am curious if it's any good, because like if he can bust out of that mold, that would be cool. One of my favorite fucking my favorite anime YouTubers ends up pushing past the fucking bullshit restraints that we have like as creators in this space and moving on to another space and excelling there as well. I would like to see him do it. I haven't read it, but I would love to see a breakdown.
Just left that much of an impression, and I think Bloody Hell, with enough time and polish, will do the same to a lot of young readers for this next generation. Honestly, I may as well just be as surprised as you are to be talking about Bloody Hell so positively, because I was really expecting to tear this series to shreds, but a lot of things in the writing just happened to stand out. For instance, the main character Jacob. One thing that I really did like was when he was training and he was harnessing his powers of hatred, and his mentor was trying to teach him self-control. And in response to her advice, he would give her a smile and a thumbs up. But there's a lot more to this scene than you would think, because this smile and this thumbs up is potentially a lie. There's a constant inner struggle within this character where he's either using...
Bro, is she flying using her hair? That's kind of dope, bro. I don't know why, bro. She's stacked up, like, she's all stacked up with her titties and ass out, but her hair is just fucking gliding for her.
Everyone around him to kill Dracula, or fight with a calm mind and cooperate with everyone around him and successfully work as a team. Now, whether or not he's trying to use these people for his ambitions, or if he genuinely cares about them, creates a very interesting character arc, where the identity of our main character could potentially be a lie. And this is something that has only been done a few times, even in Shonen Jump, and seeing which direction the author makes this character develop makes for a really interesting storyline, because the main character is half vampire. So it just lets you imagine just how horrible of a person he can be once he finally submits himself to his vampiric qualities, even though early on he gives himself to God and the light. But the concept of duality here is really interesting.
It is always nice when you can have a character like go through this shit. It's like, it's cliche as shit, absolutely. I'm not gonna say that it's not. I mean, the duality of like good and evil is just such an overdone trope, but it's how you get to that point. I think that that's what sets like a good story away from a bad one, is where it can put this at the forefront and not make it feel cliched.
Because how far is this light really going to take him? What's the breaking point until he finally submits himself to the darkness. You see, this is the kind of character writing that needs to be made in the medium of American manga that's actually going to get readers interested. This isn't shallow like Exogenesis, Primus 7, or Fourth Rope, where you're supposed
What the fuck are these, bro? What the fuck? Bro, why do we have Rick Ross over here, bro? Why do we have this isn't Rick Ross, this is fucking what was the dude's name with the clock, dude? It's the Flavor Flav. Why do we have fucking Flavor Flav the wrestler over here, bro? This is crazy. I mean, this is probably a wrestling manga though. If I had to guess, this is about like fucking this is just what's his name? Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson's backstory.
to just like it to relate to a character by something as minuscule as skin color. This is just blatantly good writing and good storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the skin color thing. I don't give a shit. I think that's the dumb point. I do think that it looks cringe as fuck though.
That makes me become attached. I know I'm throwing a lot of shots at other, I don't even know if I can call them mangas, but I'm shooting down all of these different expressions of art because they don't focus on what makes a
That one looks sick though. I'm not gonna lie. Arms of Dragon looks actually pretty fire.
a manga, and that's just a good story. There's no pandering, there's no diversity that's going to make up for that, and Bloody Hell makes up for it on its own merits, and it has enough
Bloody Hell's art style, thinking on it now, kind of reminds me of a mix of like anime meets Samurai Jack.
confidence to be compelling, to tell a story that is going to get me invested. That's all anyone who gives a damn about anime, let alone gaming too, cares about. Games like Concord, Dustborn, and even an expression like Ordinal Tempest are just terrible bottom barrel excuses to get someone's attention.
It sucks because Ordinal Tempest, this cover art's really sick. It is really sick. I hate when I see something that these looked like dog shit from the very beginning. This I would pick this up and actually check this out because of how it looks pretty cool. It's just kind of sucks that when you get some of the stuff that does look cool when you get past the first layer, not this shit because the first layer is AIDS, but this shit you get past the first layer and it ends up being fucking mid and just a waste of your time. I hate that shit. I've watched so many movies where I've jumped in excited because the trailers got me excited, only to find out it be preachy bullshit that has no actual substance.
Bloody Hell is such a breath of fresh air. I can't stress it enough. And I hope you're beginning to understand why I'm praising it so much. It's a real manga. It's a real attempt at making a manga. There are characters actually worth a damn, with the main character's master, Irene, not really feeling any compassion towards his struggles because she is a vampire and she's cold-hearted by nature. Now, whether or not this is explored in the writing with her trying to go against her nature and actually care for Jacob, or she lets him die without even batting a single eye, it leaves room for really good storytelling. And we have Arthur, a child that has become a king, bearing the responsibilities of an adult. Even then, after trying to make sure that this world is no longer doomed, he still wants to live life and be a child. And whether or not his childish qualities are going to end the world or save it, leaves something actually worth seeing. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due, because even so, the dialogue is actually really good, despite a few hiccups here and there. The name of this series is Bloody Hell, and sometimes the main character would say Bloody Hell, which is pretty funny, I will admit, but it kinda does break a bit of immersion for me at times. Because really, the story takes itself seriously, and when I read that, it makes me become more self-aware and not take the story as serious as I should. Which is a bit of a nitpick. If this was done near the end of the manga, probably where he's fighting Dracula, it would make a really iconic moment. But that's if the wordplay really feels that necessary to add. I'm not gonna tell anyone how they should.
I think in that regard where he said Bloody Hell, why? I just feel like that felt very forced. But maybe if they talked about the world of becoming a bloody hell, like what made this world a bloody hell, that would be a much more interesting dynamic. And they referred to the world as we live in bloody hell. Like if they constantly made it a part of the story where it was seamless, I think you could go with it that way. But when it's just kind of like that, did you get it? It's the fucking title. It's the title. Look at that.
Should or shouldn't write their story, but I would also avoid using terms like power level and base form. I remember when Seven Deadly Sins, they gave Hawk the earring and he started talking about everyone's power levels. It really
Dude, fuck Seven Deadly Sins. That shit needs to be burned out of everybody's mind. It was dog shit.
just takes away from the power fantasy that makes things so interesting. But then again, this is a tool used to let people understand just how strong characters are. So I get why it's being used. I had to get that off my chest. But
dude, just everything about, I forgot about the pig in Seven Deadly Sins. It had that little of an impact on me. I just remember it being, when I was watching it, I'm like, bro, this is some fucking like gooner shit, bro. This is like not the not gooner where it's like, oh, look at that like that 20-year-old hot chick. Ah, look at that, dude. No, it's like, we got a fucking 1,000-year-old to 5-year-old naked. How do you feel about that? I'm like, burn this fucking dog shit to the ground.
The dialogue here, where the characters talk with a vocabulary that isn't mind-numbing. You can take in the words that you're reading and not feel like a fucking elementary school student. And characters talk to themselves during conversations, which gives you a better understanding on what's going on and how they express themselves. And seeing how what these characters say or what they think coincides or goes against their actions is satisfying. And it makes for amazing conversations when characters can read each other like a book. Whether it's Lancelot exposing Ivory for treason, or suspecting Julian of being envious of his little brother for becoming the king, the conversations have layers that I like seeing unfold, with Julian having expressions of anger when mentioning his younger brother that he's envious of. Some characters would pick up on this jealousy and others might not, and it creates nice dynamics in the plot. But as readers, we're well aware of what's happening, seeing the shit show that's about to happen. There's also an interesting amount of world building here as well, with Earth 1 and Earth 2 existing alongside a night realm, leaving our characters plenty of places to explore and continue the adventure. There's too many excuses to give me a chance to reading this, figuring out what happened to Earth 1, why there's a giant meteor, how Dracula...
Dude, this has, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty fire. I mean, does this live up to something like a Berserk? No. This is more like Berserk if it was fucking, Black Clover, but it is something that is good in between of two different manga styles I like, or not manga, well, I mean, yeah, manga or anime styles that I like, and that overlap I think is really interesting.
Exists and what kind of actions the main character is going to take, and knowing what their god is or what this book of light is makes me want to see all of my questions get answered. The DC Comics approach to Earth 1 and Earth 2 did make me a little bit skeptical when it came to the world building, but there's a lot going on, and don't let me get started on all of the other continents that exist here. But Bloody Hell has a really solid foundation, and it actually feels like a manga. I think I'm gonna leave it at this when it comes to my thoughts. If I had to give any advice to the author, I would say don't even bother trying to be a mana, just be a manga and make...
Absolutely, dude. Don't be a part of this cringe fucking Tumblr jerk-off circle. Get the fuck out of there, dude. Just make your shit as a manga and then don't even look back. Don't, like, throw that culture away and just advertise to everybody.
Something that even the Japanese people would want to see. Just go all out. It was a nice change of pace compared to reading all of these other expressions of art that I'm used to looking at. Whether it's vampires potentially being aliens, seeing how...
Bro really has a hard-on for this PNG right here, bro. Bro showed this like 18 times. He wants me to like suck his sword hilt or something. I don't even fucking know.
Everything can unravel in this story showed me a lot of potential from the 2 volumes I read. With enough time and polish, this can be something amazing. And I don't say this lightly. If you made it this far, thank you for watching the video.
I do think that the US needs to do a better job of like supporting more indie comics. I think that we have been inundated with like Marvel and DC and Image for a very long time, and I think there is still a lot of space for utilization of Image comics. I would just like to see our animation market boom a little bit better and get away from this like a flash animation bullshit that we've been dealing with, like Teen Titans Go and other stuff along that lines. I think it's lost a lot of the appeal. I especially in like cool shows where I think another problem with the US is we're way too distracted by all of this other like cultural bullshit and not focusing enough on stories. And when you focus too much on culture bullshit, what it does is cloud creative vision. All you're thinking about is how will your story impact the world, and what you should be thinking about is how can you create the best story possible? Because if you create the best story possible, then it will impact the world irregardless. And I think that's probably my biggest message for something like this. I think this was an incredible video. I like everything this guy does. But yeah, that's all I got for that one, guys. Thank you so much, and give me a like and a comment.
This Hulu Plus Live TV lineup is stacked. Let's meet.
All right, so we all know that one of my favorite creators on the platform is the Masked Man. I really like the Masked Man. I think he's an incredible video maker. I think his anime breakdowns, his anime reviews are the best out there. I really don't think anybody has competed on the same level that he that can stand up to him, if that makes sense. But I did find this video called I Read the Masked Man's Manga, and his manga is called Devoro, and I've been curious about it. I've thought about reading it myself. I don't really have the time. I'm working. I got a kid. I do this 24/7. So I figured I would at least get a little breakdown of what it is before I checked it out myself. And also I think it would be for the benefit of my entire audience to see how good the Masked Man's manga truly is.
You know the Masked Man, YouTuber, content creator within the anime and manga community, now manga author. Congratulations to him and everyone else involved on this project. It's been a long time coming. I'm very happy for them to finally release their first chapter. If you're interested in reading Mask's manga, Devoro, a link will be in the description and in the comment section. I highly recommend you go check it out and give it a chance. Formulate your own opinion. So this is Devoro, a brand new manga by the Masked Man. I've been very interested in this. I'm always excited to see what cool concepts or ideas or characters that other content creators come up with. It's one thing to critique and talk and analyze different manga and stories, etc., but to make your own, to transfer all of this knowledge effortlessly is a completely different experience, and one that
I mean, this is something that all creators have a problem with. Everybody, like, there is so many times where I've sat down to write something and I have this idea, but I just have the baseline for the idea, so I get like the idea written down on paper, and it's just about filling in the blanks. And people don't realize, like, you read something and you're like, I could do this better, but the problem is when you start actually sitting down to do it, you realize that all the hardest part is all the in-between. I've always said this time and time again, at least people who I've talked to about literature, is the hardest part isn't coming up with a story. The hardest part is filling in that story with interesting details and the small moments, and how do you get from point A to point B? Because you can have your point A to point B done and thought out, but it's about how you can make that as much of a streamlined yet interesting journey as possible.
takes a lot of time and effort and dedication. A lot of that hard work has paid off, but not without some caveats, some odd stuff here and there, which I think is perfectly fine and honestly expected for new manga authors coming into the scene that is self-published. They don't have a massive team, there's not some type of quality assurance that goes through 6 layers of people. It's just masks, a couple of different artists, and potentially someone working to kind of go through and touch up some little things. So it's going to be quote-unquote rough in some areas, and I think that's perfectly okay. I don't expect a glamorous masterpiece right from the get-go. I would rather see something built from nothing and continuously grow and shine and cultivate into a beautiful diamond. Overall, I enjoyed the whole idea with Devoro, the Spanish influence, which I believe is Master's culture and heritage, a lot of influence or homage to Berserk and Dark Souls.
Bro, based. He's like, I am Antonio Dark Souls. I'm Antonio Banderas, but actually, I'm also guts.
Stuff that Mask enjoys, and you can see it laid out within the artwork, within how stuff is written, and just how a lot of things are connected together. Probably safe to say those works from other mediums have become a massive inspiration to Mask and to cultivate his story, not necessarily within
By the way, this guy's editing is fucking fire. This is so pretty to look at.
Image, but to take bits and pieces and expand upon it within his own right. Getting into the more nitty-gritty of stuff, I think the opening for this story is very redundant. And I don't mean to be so blunt about it, but everything with the knights, the conversation, the continuity, the opening aspect for this story is odd. And I think a lot of people are going to be very confused when reading it because it doesn't really provide anything. It provides some pretty artwork, it provides some names, and obviously something that's going to be played upon within the future, but when it comes to framing your understanding of the world or characters,
Mid-ass opening. The opening fucking sucks. It blows lots of penises. It's the worst thing ever written. I'm just Masked Man, you failed. Yeah, you gave it a good run. You should go back to making videos. Nah, dude, I feel like I'm being a little mean, but so far, I hate when there. You could tell that he probably has all this idea for later stuff because that's just kind of how he's a web spinner, dude. He loves to spin a weave. He loves to shoot web out of his asshole. So I feel like he puts all this stuff in at the beginning, thinking, oh, it'll be so great later when it like evolves, and the reader doesn't know that. The reader, you got to catch that reader right off the bat. Like, so the first opening chapters sometimes are the most important.
or abilities or the concept itself, it's a little bit non-existent. There's a lot of other things on top of it that kind of skewer your perception of the story a little bit and its continuity, which boils over into the overall reading experience. So the opening is a little bit disjointed, but that's okay. There's a couple of ways to recontextualize it in the future, but in this instance, putting some sort of statement or dialogue, I think at the beginning or even after it would have helped quite a bit. Those opening dialogues or statements can be used to frame what you're about to read, the story itself, the world, the emotions, what to expect even. They can be very ambiguous, very context heavy, or just completely random. Words or things pulled from the story which provides something. And you kind of done it a little bit after the opening, which was framed by a very mysterious and ominous figure, which I think is perfect. If you had something like the words that ominous figure was saying at the beginning, the very first thing you read going into the story, or even after that opening, that probably would have made it a little bit more digestible. Also, using Spanish words as a in-word vernacular or slang, I think is very brilliant. I would recommend putting author notes, however, because unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish. A lot of people are not going to speak Spanish, and as much as
that's so valid, bro. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dog? Bro just comes over to like, si, signore, Taco Bell! And you're like, yes, sir, Taco Bell? And it's like, si. And you're like, all right, dude, let's disculpe. It is a little disjointing when a narrative like throws a whole nother language at you and it just expects you to know it. I get that we have the internet at our fingertips at any moment and we can look this shit up, but it still pulls you from the experience.
I appreciate this in-world vernacular to create more identifiable characters and how people speak. I don't know what they're saying. And as a reading experience, if I have to go out of your chapter to Google what they're saying just so I can understand it, it's a little bit counterintuitive. It takes
exactly what I was saying, dog. Exactly what I was saying. If you have to leave what you're reading to Google something, you've already kind of lost, because now I've already left your piece of media. It's like when I'm watching a video. I mean, if I'm watching something in my free time compared to here on stream, like obviously here on stream, I will look something up and then pull it up on screen to add more to what I'm watching, to add more to the narrative that is being presented on screen, or to kind of refute what's being talked about on screen. But if I'm in my free time and I'm just trying to enjoy this in kind of like a more relaxed setting, and I leave your art to go to something else, I may never come back. Might get distracted by TikTok. I don't really have TikTok, but like Instagram or other YouTube videos, or lots and lots of naked women on the internet. You never know. So the moment that happens, you've already pulled that. You already have that degree of separation that has really hurt your artwork. Like, I mean, it would be interesting too to have a character like that at first they're throwing like they're throwing like little Spanish terms in, and you have one character who doesn't speak Spanish at all, and you throw it in as like a comic beak to be like, I don't fucking speak Spanish, bro. And I don't know. I think that would be funny. I think there's ways of doing it, and it's all encompassed in like a page, so you don't have like a whole chapter where you're like, holy shit, why does this dude keep saying shit I don't fucking get? Like, I get that it adds to the character, but I'm getting a little annoyed with fucking Duolingo-ing everything. So if you like encompass it in a thing, and then like when he does have those slip ups, he corrects himself. The character corrects himself to the main character, but also to the reader.
Is off of reading and more so researching, which is a little bit backwards and something that I would recommend avoid doing. Because there's not much of it, it's not the biggest of deals, but for future reference, maybe a little author's note for what this word means or what this phrase means. And if it's something very common like a cheer or a thank you or a greeting, you don't have to do it every single time. People will start to get used to it and it becomes more of a common understanding. But for long phrases, for example, definitely need some sort of author's note just to explain what it means, especially within this type of context, which, considering this is heavy within the opening, it adds a bit of a disconnection to everything, and probably why a lot of people feel that the pacing is rushed or jarring, or that the opening is a little bit redundant. To doubly add on top of that, speaking of continuity, the first handful of pages have a black background, which a lot of manga readers are used to seeing as being a flashback or something taken in a different time period, etc. So that black background represents that, but very quickly it completely disappears. And I can understand artistically this would be very difficult to do because you have armor and a lot of shading, and a black background is very difficult to kind of pull that off consistently, but the extra steps to continue to use it I think would be very viable. The reason I'm talking about this so much is it's probably the most quote-unquote problematic area and covers a lot of the remaining of the story, because everything else is pretty finely tuned. Everything feels nice and flowy for the most part. I actually didn't really have a problem with the pacing after the opening. There is some instances where it feels like it phases or jumps between different altercations oddly, but that can definitely be improved upon just by extending a scene a little bit more or trying to bleed the scene.
The music in this makes me sound like I'm gonna fucking fight this manga. Just like, it's the beginning, fucking blue 87 penises. Brr, brr. As the blowjobs came in for the masked man's face. Brr, brr. He put in a Spanish word. No padre rival. Brr, brr.
Scenes into each other, so it's not as much as a jump, and you can definitely see that you're trying to do that with a lot of scenes. They somewhat bleed either by action or by talking into the next scene, which is great. It's just understanding that pacing and the reading experience going through it. So I think a great way to help rectify this, if you're a little bit unsure yourself, is to have someone that is completely outside of the creation team and just have them read it and go through it, just to see what it's like as a outside perspective.
Bro, masked man. If you fucking need a retard to read your shit, right? If you need like the common denominator of a dumbass, hey, just hit me up, bro. I'll read it. I'll give you some pointers. I'll say, yeah, Dan, don't speak El Espanol, so threw me for a little bit of a curve. Had to do some Googling on that. I think that might be a problem. You need somebody to help you out, bro. I'm here for you, buddy. I can be that micro penis king to read your mangas.
Of reading the story for the first time, and does it flow well? Does it feel like there's continuity? Does it feel nice to read and to indulge within? You can definitely do it yourself, but because you are the creator, you're gonna have a bit of a bias or a perspective that you're not actually going to get from just an everyday viewer like myself or everyone else, for example. Something to look into.
This may be the last.
I mean, I am like the artwork. I remember looking through his manga and thinking it looked really good like a long time ago. It was one of those things. It was one of those things that I thought at least it was like incredibly well like done in regards to art style. And I honestly want to give it a shot. again, don't have the time.
I think it'd be worthwhile. I enjoy Isaac. I think he's got a lot of traits pulled from Guts. The lonely traveler, burdened by a very mysterious past, burdened by potentially power that he does not understand or know. It's interesting. It adds this level of mystery and intrigue. I like this character a lot. Raymond, even though I feel like everyone's going to die, or at least has the chance to die, he has the most...
I do love that in a manga, that everybody has the chance to die. You're scared to get attached to anybody. So to build these relationships where you start to care just on the, even though you know that they could die at any time, so that those, it's not, I'm not saying that, because sometimes they can use this to cheapen a character to where you just don't get attached to anybody, but that ability to make you get attached to somebody, but then also knowing that the story isn't afraid to kill off your characters, I think is really powerful.
I would say fleshed out personality other than Isaac. It works well with this guy because his personality is very obnoxious, very goofy, very cheerful, playful, etc. So it's a lot better to navigate around and to utilize in a lot of different aspects. When it comes to the other two, they're a little bit more shy, a little bit more coy, a little bit more blanketed. This isn't the worst thing. Sometimes the dialogue feels a little bit too perfect, especially when you have so much vernacular going through them, sometimes slang, phrases. It's a bit odd when they speak so identical to one another. So maybe trying to decipher how they talk within their own identity and how they would use different slang and how that would express their personality a little bit more. Again, it's only the first chapter. We're only getting introduced to them, so this can easily come with time and building upon them, which is perfectly normal, or they could probably be killed in the next chapter. Side note, I love this little guy. Skull chicken thing that delivers packages and posts to people. Beautiful, brilliant, love him. I want a story just about him. I also really enjoyed the ending. Design for the hands covering Isaac's face and this mysterious, ominous figure behind him. It sparks a lot of intrigue and it's very compelling for people to see.
I mean, it's also really cool. And here's the thing. Let's go to the actual manga, right? This is chapter 0. So I think that maybe he started on chapter 1 because this is completely different than what I'm looking at here. Because it looks like chapter 0 has a lot more going for it. Like, has a lot of shit going on that's, like, looks completely different than what he's showing me on screen. And I'm kind of curious. Like, this looks, like, so sick, dude. Maybe I'm fucking missing something. But this is when you go to the Masked Man's thing, it looks so much different than what he's showing, right? I don't know. It's maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, because like I'm looking at this and this looks like so different, bro. This looks so different. This has a completely different beginning than I mean, this and when I was reading this back in the day, I remember it looking different. And maybe you have to pay him for chapter 1, but chapter 0 looks so fucking sick, and I feel like maybe that's the disconnect this guy's having, because I remember reading part of chapter 0 and thinking it was really, really good, and this guy doesn't have any of that in here.
The next chapter, which I believe you just recently tweeted that it comes out within August. So I definitely look forward to that. Overall, I would say that this is a pretty solid first chapter. It gives you a main character, it gives you a motivation.
I do think that this is missing the context of chapter 0, and I think that's why I have a different perspective. Like, when I was looking at his artwork, I hadn't seen any of this, and I have looked through chapter 0. So I think maybe you have to, like, I don't know. Somebody have to let me know in the comments, because when I click on, like, the Masked Man's manga, right, I look at it and I see it on this website here. It says chapters 1, 0, or chapter 0, and I don't see anything else. I don't know when the next chapter is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're missing something here or what has I don't know. I feel like this is completely different than what so we only have chapter 0, which has a completely different it's a completely different fucking first chapter. This is on the Masked Man's like newest video too, so this is like where we're caught up. I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm crazy. Or no, this is on his newest video. Let's go to his newest video here. We'll go to videos. I will click on this, and then we'll check this out. We're doing some research here, folks. We're doing some research here. My manga. Let's pull this up. Nope, same link. It's the exact same link on his newest thing. So, where the fuck is this guy getting this manga from? Where did he get chapter 1? I mean, I can. Let me just look up here. Maybe I'm off base, right? What is this called? Devoro Read Devoro chapter 1. Devoro. Okay, so here's the first chapter of Devoro. Okay, so there is the first chapter, so this is completely different than the chapter 0, which his thing links to. His channel only links to the first chapter, or to the chapter 0. So that's where I think we're having this disconnect from what I've seen compared to what this guy is showing me, is because of that. Now, I don't know if there's more chapters here. I'm kind of scared because of the adult warning thing. Let's click on Devoro. If anything happens, I'll exit off really quick. Chapter's one chapter. Okay, so it is just one chapter as of this moment, which is a little crazy, considering this last updated 2 months ago. It looks like he's just been adding to it. I'll have to read this. If it's only chapter 0 and chapter 1, I think I can get this through. Maybe I'll make a video on it. I don't know. I feel like this guy is missing the context from the chapter 0, and I feel like it probably was a crucial part of this.
A bit of the world, a bit of this and that. There is some hiccups here and there, of course, but I think that's perfectly fine. It's all a big learning curve at the end of the day, and some stuff that can easily be phased out over time. I don't think there is inherent faults or don't do this or don't go anywhere near that, which is a good sign, but also stuff that can be cleaned up with a method of production. Obviously, a lot of the background is white. I personally don't really mind, but I feel a lot of people will have an issue with it. It's not a full production.
I don't. I think this looks pretty. I like that the darkness of all these details is really offsetting the white of it. I do think if you wanted to go in, add more details and stuff to really make it something like really crazy profound, it would be a little better. But at the same time, I think this is a good starting point.
Team. There's not 6 different background artists or assistants to go through quality assurance. I fully understand. There's definitely ways to kind of go around it using photographs or different things online to kind of trace over to just provide some sort of elements within the background to make it more filled. And then for stuff like city scenes or panels, very simplified character designs just for NPCs, just to make it feel a little bit more alive and fluid and this and that. There's always more that can be done. There's always more with extra bits and pieces, but it's perfectly fine if you don't want to do them. Just stick within your own strengths. It's better to stay healthy and not to rush or push yourself further than what you need to actually do.
And I have to say, this does look a lot better than most of the manga slop that comes out of the US, so I'm already giving it a little bit of credit there. It does need it. I mean, it even looks better than the original One Punch Man first design, so it's got that going for it.
Is someone that writing the story, obviously, but also for your artist, for the people involved. So of course, definitely take your time with it and what you feel like is acceptable when it comes to artistic interpretation and flair. I will say to be careful of your continuity, the flow of your story, and how you feel like readers will engage with each moment, how they'll progress through each moment. There's a lot of things, a lot of simple things that can pull people out of it, such as that simple black background that represents a flashback of some kind.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that, so it didn't pull me out at all. I thought it was just a black background. That has no effect over me. That is not something I have a gripe with. The throwing Spanish in all the time, I do have a bit of a gripe with, because that does kind of throw you out of the story. I mean, it's cool when it's like a single phrase or something like hola or something that everybody knows, and it's just like, oh yeah, this character has a Spanish background, and it's oh shoot, I totally wasn't reading chat. You do know it's nobody here. Anyway, somebody was mad at me. Somebody was mad at me in my chat. I just realized I wasn't reading chat. Wouldn't it be crazy if aliens and spirits exist and they both want our genitals? That would be crazy. But I just think that by adding in like whole phrases and stuff that your average dude isn't gonna know, I think does hurt your story.
Changing to white, or not being able to understand those Spanish words without going to Google Translate. Again, the best way to somewhat counteract this is to have someone that's not part of the creation process just to read through it and see if everything flows together just as a normal reader, so they can potentially pick up on stuff that you may not see that is a problem because you're the author or because you're the artist. At the end of the day, I think this is a solid first chapter. You have a lot of creative ideas, you have a lot of things that you want to do, and I can see it with the artistry that goes behind it. I know you're not drawing the story, but the ideas that you're probably bringing to the artist and how you're working with them is very nice. And all of you are pulling off some very beautifully conceptualized ideas, which is a combination of all your hard work and effort. So I'm excited to see how this fleshes out further, how this evolves over time, and how these characters start to grow and interact, and just to see everything bloom over time. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you, Mask, and everyone involved. You've done a phenomenal job. If you are interested in reading Devereaux, want to check it out for yourself, once again, a link will be in the description and the comment section. I highly recommend it. With that, however, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it.
Let's see what his link goes to, because like, no, 6 links. Devereaux here, chapter 1. So this goes to this, right? But Masked Man's link goes to something completely different. So I'll show you what the Masked Man's link goes to. So we have his link, which is right here. Read Devereaux here. And then you go to, I saw Masked Man right here. We'll click on this. I'm not going to watch this
with Geico.
I'm just going to utilize this for, I know it's 6 months ago, but my manga here. So manga decks. So we have this one. Shit. We have this one right here, which you can hit start reading, right? Whatever. And this has the dumb way where you have to go like click this way. So this one I've read part of, right? This is where the Masked Man links. This is like this is chapter 0, the pretext that goes into it. I'm sure that it's interesting. I have not finished it yet. I just looked through the artwork a couple times. I think this is really interesting looking, really cool. His link actually takes you to the first chapter of this. And it's just so, I feel like there's a mistake been made with the fact that there isn't like, I think maybe chapter 0 explains a lot of what's going on here. I mean, you see the guy with the gun, which is the guy that last chapter ended off on. And I think that's probably pretext to maybe what's going to be going on later in the story. I really, 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 really wish that both like the whatever this thing, this also showed chapter 0 as one of the chapters. I really think that it's I don't know if Masked Man is in charge of putting that on here or who's in charge of doing this. Nice. But at the same time, I do think that he should correct that by adding both in, because I think that it will add a lot to the story. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't add anything. Maybe it just has that disjointed beginning. I will have to read this on my own. But, I mean, the artwork's just incredible. The artwork is just absolutely incredible on this thing. Dude, I really, I really want to see another chapter of this. I don't know what his, it's a prototype, so he's still in the prototype phase. I wonder how close he is to creating more of this manga and doing more with it. That's kind of my question, but as for that, that's all I kind of got on this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.